Good morning, Dragon Squad, and welcome to the stream. I'm here, Ted Cruz Wager Dragon. I'm here, just pausing. Wasn't sure if the stream was live. I'm not even sure that it's live right now. But thank you, everybody, for being here. Right off the bat, Wayne Zagar is like, wouldn't it be cool to hit 1K before John even starts the stream? That would be cool, and maybe someday, Wayne, we'll get there. But today is regrettably not that day. But thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to the nearly half, close to half, who've already hit the like button. Let's see if we can get to 1K. I refuse to do the news until we get to 1K. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to do the news because we've got a lot of it. Not only in the pre-show, which thank you for being here for the pre-show, but also in the full show. By the way, the likes were higher than the number of viewers, which seems weird. Anyway, the full damage report is coming up in like 30 or so minutes. And Adrian Lawrence is going to be joining me there. We're going to have an awesome hour. We're going to be talking about two different ways that anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers have become like parodies of themselves in their attempts to highlight their own magnificent, fabulous sense of victimhood. So that's going to be fun. Fox News has to walk back multiple stories, and we're going to evaluate the damage that was done before that even happened. And then cops are terrible. As always, we will continue to evaluate just how terrible they can be. But before that, there is a lot of other news to get to. Let's start off with a couple of good bits of news, one of which will apparently done, and another that is, in theory, going to happen. Both of these are things that, hey, Biden kind of doing the right thing. So let's talk about that. The first is that Biden has long promised that he is going to sign an executive order requiring that federal contractors receive a $15 an hour as a minimum wage. And he's apparently going to do that. He promised it, and he's apparently going to deliver it. So that is good. I would be lying if I didn't say that him doing that via executive order sort of stings a little bit. Like, it's good that he's doing it. It's an acknowledgement that $15 an hour minimum wage makes sense. Some people will make more money as a result of this, but in two different ways it sort of stings. One is that, okay, so you're doing this, which will affect a relatively small number of people in comparison. Are you going to push for that standalone bill? Are you going to push hard enough to actually make it happen? We already sort of know the answer to that. So it's like you get this little teaser of $15 an hour minimum wage, but knowing that it's not going to apply to everyone, just these federal contractors, almost certainly. And then the other thing is, oh, so you can do stuff via executive order, huh? You can try to improve people's lot in life, their economic standing via executive order. So you can do that for some things. Did your pen run out of ink? Couldn't you have continued writing, oh, and by the way, I'm canceling student loan debt? You could have done that, but he didn't do that. So it's a good bit of news, but there are some implications from it that I find regrettable. The second is that Biden is going to be seeking $80 billion in additional funding for the IRS, which, if you don't know any of the context about that story, seems like, ew, why? That's so much money that's going to the IRS. I hate the IRS. No, I totally get that. But supposedly, this is going to be used to claw back some of the money that the rich corporations and things like that are not actually paying that they should be. And it is difficult to overstate how good of an investment this extra funding is. I don't know that there is a better investment except possibly money for early education and things like that. The $80 billion that he is looking to increase their budget by, in theory, over the next 10 years will bring in $700 billion. So you're getting like 9 to 1 for your dollar. It is a significant increase in their funding, by the way. 2/3 over the current levels they've had for the past decade. Now, they used to have more money. They were cut quite a bit with the goal, never stated, but always there, always clear, to make it virtually impossible for the IRS to actually track down the wealthy's taxes when they are evading those taxes. So good to see Biden doing this. It's something that Congressman Ro Khanna has been pushing for. This is not his bill, by the way. It is different, simpler, probably not as expansive, probably not going to bring in as much money, probably allow a little bit more tax avoidance, but it is a good thing. And those together, two perfectly good moves. I could get very used to having every Tuesday look like this. I don't think that's what we're going to have, but it's perfectly fine. Now, if they could hire some more people to actually staff the phones when I call in and try to get through to the IRS, it's actually possible. And I don't wait on hold for 2 hours and then have to hang up, wondering if there was ever anyone that was actually going to pick up, because I'm pretty sure they were already closed. But when you're in the system, it doesn't actually tell you that. Anyway, it can be frustrating. Now, I see, though, while I've been talking about those two stories, a lot of super chats have come in. So let's see what's going on. Zombie broadcast. Why is it zombie? Notifications. I'm seeing some people have gotten them. Okay. Let's see. Kyle Walton upgraded their membership to Tier 2. Thank you for that. The top 10 list hopefully is already uploaded from yesterday. Francesca and I talking about our top 10 problematic faves. Probably going to get in trouble for the things that we like that you're probably not supposed to like, but we broke down some of those. It was a little bit of a late start. Apologies for that. Jess freaking Ortega got her Dragon 2.0 shirt. That's awesome. Love that shirt. Maybe oh God, I gotta wear that on the main show tomorrow. Anyway, Brandy Lou says, just have to say that plant-based means no animal products, not just meat. Many beers and wine use things such as fish bladder and gelatin made from animal parts for the filter process. That's a good point. I'm familiar with gelatin. I didn't know that they use fish bladder. Well, for instance, Pop-Tarts are not wholly non-meat. Regrettably. Alex says, second dose done. With the power of unlimited 5G and Wolverine-like immortality, I request Kidney Dragon. Well, with those powers, you'd expect something a little bit more grandiose, but Kidney Dragon is yours. Dragon Squad First Class says male. No new mail. Sorry. Except for, by the way, if you had sent something a couple weeks ago, we did do a pre-show where I showed off some of the things that had come in. I don't know if you saw that one, but since then, no, nothing has come in, unfortunately. Rob Shively says, Johnny Pie, hey, in episode 237 of TDR, you were laughing at a joke and gave the camera the Jim Halpert. What were you thinking? TDR Con will be lit. That's funny. Wait, are the episodes numbered? Do we know number 237? Is that a thing that I didn't know about? Should we celebrate at a certain point? Benicia David, thank you for the #1 fan. I appreciate that. Ted Cruz Wedgie Dragon says, good morning, Dragon Daddy. Got Fizzy 2 on last Friday, but it changed my DNA too much, and now my dog doesn't recognize me. That's sad. At least you didn't switch places with the dog. Sky Comet got second shot today and thought I'd take a moment to celebrate it. Hope the side effects are not bad. Trisha says, Greedy needs to put more effort and $15 across the board. And look, mainly the effort doesn't need to go towards millions of Americans. They support it. It needs to go towards a couple of Democratic senators. Kenny from Philly says, Dragon Squad forever. So please get us a jank emoji. We do need a jank emoji. We also need jank on the show. That would be a great tie-in. Zane says, remember last May 11th, I almost got you to say, yep, I do remember that. I didn't know it was an anniversary, but Rahina, thank you for the super chat. Oh, God, we do need a new intro. PR says, hey from Britain, have you seen the latest Boris scandals? I'd love TYT to do an international show one day, hosted by your handsome self. Of course, well, I'd hardly be qualified for it. We talked about Boris on Earth Day, but no, I haven't seen the most recent scandal. Robert Ryder, thank you for the very large super sticker. Do appreciate that. Very nice of you. Smiling Turtle Dragon says, what about the post office? Where are their needed dollars? And why has DeJoy literally disappeared from the news? Well, no, he's still in the news. There's a battle ongoing about whether Biden will actually get rid of him. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened. And not everyone seems to be siding with getting rid of him. It's maddening. Smiling Turtle, glad you got your 2.0 shirt. Jamie, welcome to Tier 1 membership. Maybe we'll get a jank emoji for you soon. Darren says, I'm in a mixed marriage now. Can a Pfizer-Moderna marriage work? I guess time will tell. I understand the different side effects could cause strain on you, but consider couples therapy. Neo Smith says, go vegan for the planet and for the animals. Well, look, because you said that, two things. So one, I'm not vegan, by the way. I'm not even a vegetarian right now, although there have been periods where I have been. But I will say that I have been making the semi-conscious choice that I have been consuming far less animal products. I'm not drawing a hard line or anything like that at this point, but it is rarer, I will say that. And I think that that is certainly doable, I will say. Let's contrast a couple of different sort of strategies. So one is the Biden's going to limit you to 1 burger a month, which doesn't actually exist. They like the idea, the interesting straw man of the left is going to ban blank because people get defensive about it. It's almost never true. The left is never really trying to ban whatever, but saying, hey, wouldn't it be better like if you consumed less of it? Standing against that doesn't get people as defensive, which is why they make up the straw man. But you can put subtle pressure. So for instance, Epicurious announced, so this is this big recipe database. They've announced that they're not going to be publishing any more beef recipes over climate concerns. It's not really an animal rights thing. It's more of a beef manufacturing is really, really bad for the environment in a lot of different ways that we've talked about many times. And they give a lot of good arguments for why. It's not saying, I don't think they're, first of all, it's not even new. They haven't been publishing for them for a while. They just hadn't done a formal announcement. I don't even know if anybody noticed. I hadn't noticed. That I think is a perfectly fine way to put a little bit of pressure, to try to nudge people. I mean, if we're going to have influencers, can it be for something other than, I don't know, shoes or glasses? Can it be for good stuff? Why don't we find out? Why don't we find out? Rob Shively says, you'd make a better cap than John Walker. Do it. So, Rob, I put on the mask that you sent me, and I think I look just about as ridiculous as John Walker in his mask. Maybe I'll put up a picture at some point. Okay. Nunune says, hey, John, you got me on TYT with Think Tank back in the day. Do you think you guys will ever do sciencey news like you did back then? I don't know. I mean, look, sometimes it does work its way into TDR and TYT. Do I think I'm going to do a show like Think Tank again? Probably not. I do miss it. I wish that we had something like that. Maybe at some point we will. Kathy, thank you for your fox. Appreciate that. Neo says, leading cause of climate change, ocean dead zones, drought, pandemics, wildfires, and species extinction is animal agriculture. Yes. I don't necessarily know if I believe that all of those, that's the biggest individual cause, but it is certainly a massive contributing factor to all the things that you cited. Okay, really fast. Let's see. Oh, God, I want to get through all these. How much time do we have? Okay, so Elon Musk, who we talked about in our A block yesterday on TDR for quite some time, had this to say about travel to Mars. A bunch of people will probably die. You might die, it's going to be uncomfortable, and probably won't have good food. That is his response to the idea that it's an escape hatch for rich people. Which, look, I don't think it's an escape hatch for rich people. It is potentially a very expensive distraction and boondoggle for rich people, but honestly, a bunch of people will probably die in the beginning, but it will be a glorious adventure and it'll be an amazing experience. It's not for everyone. Volunteers only. So here's the thing. My issue with this is not that I think he's necessarily wrong, or that I think being honest about it is a bad thing. If we try to send people to other planets, there's going to be accidents and people are going to die. The issue is that to the extent that he is involved, and he apparently wants to have humans on Mars with his company by 2026, which I will guarantee you right now is not going to happen. They don't manufacture cars on the timeline that he previews. They're not going to get people to another fucking planet on the timeline. But anyway, it's that his flippant attitude about virtually everything, unless there is a hard wall of engineers between his bullshittery and all of the technology going to Mars, I worry that he will lead to more people dying than need to in all of this. That's my fear. It's not that it's not true. I think it is true, but I want to keep those numbers as rare as possible if we're going to do it. If his company or if the U.S. government is going to try to send people there, I don't know. Let's try to make fewer people die. I think that would be pretty awesome. I don't trust him. He is an attention-seeking asshole. That is the unfortunate fact. Adrian Lawrence is going to be on the show today. Lux Dragon says, John, what's with the Elon Muskie? As a Tesla MY owner, I'm finding his contributions to the world going green better than what any other car company is doing. He's also sending us to space again. Yes, so that's the thing. I don't dislike Elon Musk because he hasn't accomplished anything. I dislike him because he apparently has been birthed with the resources and enough talent, not necessarily for engineering. I don't know how much he does of literally any of that, but putting together good teams and giving them a vision that they can do these things, but then he needlessly hamstrings it with a whole bunch of fucking stupid, immature bullshit. If he had never accomplished anything, it'd be easy to write him off. The fact that he can do things like that and yet does so much bullshit, that bothers me, because I can't help but wonder if he was putting less time into flamethrowers and things like that, maybe he wouldn't just have the Y or the S or whatever. Maybe he'd have a full line of cars that were actually affordable for regular people. Again, it's a mixed thing. That's what makes it interesting. And the hate especially is that for all of whatever he's done in terms of cars and space travel, I don't think that earns you a spot on SNL, but anyway. Okay, let's see. Ryan says, new report on CRISPR tool called CRISPR-off and CRISPR-on allows for controlled gene silencing and activation without changing DNA. Interesting reading. Thank you. That is interesting. I do need to look into that. It's been a bit since I've looked into that. Theodore Brenner, welcome to your YouTube membership. Enjoy those top 10 lists. Okay, let's make sure that we get to our number one story. Oh, wow. Neo Smith says, watch Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy, and What the Health. Animal agriculture absolutely is the leading cause of the things I listed. No, Neo, it's not that I'm not familiar with any of that. I've watched What the Health. It's that I have read numbers where it seems to go back and forth between which is actually the leading part of the pie. It's not saying that it's not huge. I'm just saying I have seen other things that indicate that it's not necessarily in any given year the number one cause. It's not to discount it at all. I'm not doing any of that or anything. Wolfie Lee says, really, really want to see you guys cover the insane amount of BS going in Arizona by the Cyber Ninja company or whatever they are. Well, that's the thing, actually. I had that story for yesterday, but we didn't end up getting to it. Perhaps we will today. Tree Frog says, set to get my first Moderna jab today. Only took getting hospitalized for a month first. Workplace accident. Wishing everyone stays sane and healthy, and for you as well. Glad you were able to get it. Cooper says, Tesla's trying to take over a sacred indigenous place in northern Nevada for a lithium mine. See, I didn't even know about that. Okay, Lawrence Knight, welcome. Oh, Lauren Knight, I apologize. Welcome to Tier 1 YouTube membership. Arthur says, do you think you might do that special you're talking about on the Bush administration? I don't remember that actually now. Was it comparing Trump and Bush? I think that's what you were talking about. If I did, it would have to bring Emma back on. Okay, really fast, because we are rapidly running out of time. There's two that I really want to do. I guess that can wait. Okay. I go back and forth in my willingness to expose you to the face and voice and weird mispronunciations of Tucker Carlson. I have chosen not to do it today, partially for your sake and partially because I don't want to do that to Adrian Lawrence. We're already going to have to hear from other people on Fox. Why listen to Tucker as well? That said, it's not that he just said something really irresponsible yesterday. It's that he said something that is a direct call to action for his millions of viewers to be the absolute effing worst. And it goes a bit beyond that. So what he had to say was this. As for forcing children to wear masks outside, that should be illegal. Again, forcing is a word he uses because it makes it seem like, oh God, they're forcing. What he means is parents having their kids wear masks. That's what he means. He would tell you every day that he's totally for parents being able to determine what their kids do. But in this case, he wants to present it as something like that they're being forced by the government or something like that. Your response when you see children wearing masks as they play should be no different from your response to seeing someone beat a kid in Walmart. Call the police immediately. Contact Child Protective Services. Keep calling until someone arrives. What you're looking at is abuse. It's child abuse, and you're morally obligated to attempt to prevent it. If it's your own children being abused, then act accordingly. It gets worse, but let's stop there. So this is a guy, remember for context, that has been trying to encourage people to not wear masks for just about a year now. Telling them that they shouldn't socially distance, they shouldn't take the vaccine, they shouldn't do any of this stuff. So I am going to analyze all of his brain-addled pronouncements through that lens. It's not just that he's saying that a parent wanting to protect their kid, because remember, some kids have gotten sick and have died as a product of this. He can pretend it's not true, but it is. It's not just that he doesn't want that. He doesn't want anyone to take this seriously, and he has directly, I'm just going to say, contributed to countless deaths from coronavirus of his viewers. If you were watching Tucker Carlson last year, you might be dead now, unfortunately, because you made the bad mistake of trusting him. He says it's as bad as seeing someone beat a kid. That should be beneath anyone to say something as purposefully moronic as that, but I have no doubt that millions of Americans watched it and believed it. All of you watching this, very good chance that you're reasonable. But you need to understand that you are massively outnumbered. For every one of you in the chat right now, there's 4,400 as I'm saying this, there is 1,000 people who believe Having your kid wear a mask is the same as kicking your kid in the face. So understand that we might be in a battle and we are vastly outnumbered by these insane people. Let's say your kid's school emailed you to announce that every day after lunch your sixth grader was going to get punched in the face by a teacher. How would you respond to that? That's precisely how you should respond when they tell you that your kids have to wear masks in the soccer field. That is unacceptable, it is dangerous, and we should act like it because it is. No, see, that's a real tell. Because if you really believed that you had proved your point, you wouldn't have to then put that thing at the end that we should act like it is. But you just said that it is. You proved that it is. You're an intellectual gladiator. Your weapons are logic. And yet you needed to put that thing at the end. So that's insane. The reason that it's insane, really, isn't just that he's wrong. It's that he is directly telling his audience, these schools, the government, these people who are forcing your kids to do this, and they're not, but let's say that the kid wears the mask, they are abusing your kids. They are punching your kids in the face. Act accordingly. So what is that going to produce? Let's say best case scenario, it produces thousands of calls to the cops. And so cops will be called to these areas. Cops will do what cops are going to do. It's either going to waste their time, possibly get some school administrators that want no part in this in trouble, and maybe some kids will end up getting brutalized or shot, because when cops show up, there's a chance they're going to kill someone. So that's cool. It's also possible that the parents will just do something physical and violent on their own, because they have now been convinced that their schools, led by Kamala Harris, are abusing their kids. That is what Tucker Carlson's show is. It's not just saying something crazy, it's attempting to get his cult to go out there and do something violent. There's basically no leap necessary in this case to see how this ends in violence. And it's out there. Didn't want to make you watch him, but it's all there. You can watch it if you want. Eric Erickson's disagrees with him, but he's wrong in a whole nother way. I just can't take it anymore. It is bizarre that Tucker Carlson can say all that he's said, done all that he's done, contributed so directly to people's sickness, hospitalization, and death, and even now has never admitted that he was wrong. He's trying to eke out as much wrongness as is possible, and he hasn't suffered at all. In fact, he's benefited. He makes more money now than he did before, almost as if he's being paid some sort of bounty for each of his viewers that he murders. Brent Andrews says, people will die equals higher profit margins. Yeah. Neil Smith says, going vegan is the most accessible way for the most people to do the most good for the planet. It's the one thing we can all do. I don't even necessarily disagree. Let's see. We are running very low on time, unfortunately, and there's still prep to do before Adrian and I go live. Non-Human Humanist says, today came my neighbor to me with the anti-vaccination mandate initiative to sign. Swiss doesn't have a mandatory vaccination program, people losing it. Yeah, it's all bullshit. There are actual problems that they could be trying to solve. Instead, they make up ones that don't exist and then lose their minds over them. And it's convenient because there's no response. If they say, stop doing X, and you're not doing it, what are you supposed to do at that point? You can't stop doing it, because not doing it wasn't enough to get them to think that you're doing it. They're being lied to for profit. It is a massive international grift. That's what it is, and many people are taking part in it. The right foremost, but not just. Sinful Solutions, thank you. Appreciate that. I can see the clocks coming. I can also see the Adrians in the chat, which is awesome. Okay, I wish that we had more time. There's this bonkers OAN story that we're going to do in tomorrow's pre-show, so don't miss that. Thank you, everybody who hit the like button. We almost hit 2,000. I really do appreciate that. In any event, I got to go get ready. Adrian's going to join me. It's going to be awesome. Hope to see you either here at twitch.tv/TYT in just a few.